It's a Tuesday, and it won't be the same without Super League Raw Weekly. On tonight's show, we announced the Betfred Super League Team of the Week for round number 11. Brodie Croft went into the Bank of Super League, a Rhino, and came out a wire. What will the panel make of that? Banging or hanging returns with all the news, gossip and transfers, as always. The Bulls and the Leopards put their hand up for Las Vegas 2027 with financial help. But all of a sudden, Saints and LFC might be interested once more. They couldn't turn their back on the Bulls and the Leopards, could they? What will Oliver be saying this week? And of course, we are all getting ready for the first double-header between Wigan Warriors at Hull KR this coming Thursday night. It's a repeat of the grand final, and we will start the build-up tonight. All this and more on Super League Raw Weekly. You just cannot beat a better weekly. Let's start the show. This programme is proudly sponsored by BYD, the #1 electric vehicle in the world and the fastest growing brand in the UK car market. BYD in Super League Raw, building our dreams together. And the home of Super League Raw, the Bluebell in Warrington. Make this your pre- and post-game destination for the best food and drink in town. So good evening and welcome to Super League Raw Weekly. It's 8 p.m. It's a Tuesday. It has to be, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Unbelievable, boys. You do the titles last night thinking I'm going to get ahead because I'm working 9 till 7 tomorrow, and the world and his wife drop rugby league stories all day. Unbelievable. So I do apologise that some of that titles were a little bit outdated for tonight's show, but we will be addressing all of the changes that have come in on this wonderful day. Greg, good evening to you. Are you well?
I'm very well, sir. Is everybody else well?
Splendid, Mr. Sale.
Good, mate. All good.
Good. Yes, we're half expecting you in a jumpsuit, sir. But anyway, we'll get to that a little bit later on. Good evening to Nigel Ward. Who else we got? Danielle Long's with us. Hello to you. John O's with us. Heather Bailey. Good evening to you, Heather. Good to have your company. Wakey Sam. Evening to you. Second half Trin. We'll get to that as well. Make sure you get your comments in the chat. As always, your opportunity to join the greatest fans community in Super League. Come and join Super League Raw. All the details you need for our membership is on that QR code. Go to superleagueraw.com for more information. We're not going to dilly-dally because we've got lots to get through, ladies and gentlemen. No Joel tonight. He might join us a little bit later, but Joel has got more important things to do this evening, and that is legitimately with his family. So to Joel, we hope you're well, mate, and look after yourself. Mr. Roach, good evening to you. Also, great to have Grandad in the chat. Right, okie dokie. He loves me, really. There's only one place to start. Let's get juicy. Let's get juicy, boys. Let's go straight in where it matters. Yes, double header part one. This is where we're going to end the show. We're going to end the show. We were going to be salivating at the idea of a grand final repeat this weekend on Thursday. And what do you know? Everything changed with the squad announcements. And of course, not from a KR perspective, but from a Wigan perspective. KR, from their starting lineup against the Leopards, they have only lost 2 players, that being Budgie and, of course, Artemore to injury. Everybody else has been selected in their 21-man squad, as opposed to Wigan, where basically 10 of those players that started in the 17 against Leeds have been evicted. Right, there's been lots of chat on social media, lads. Loads of chat on social media with regards to this. We'll get rid of the squads for the time being. We can come back to them in a minute, should we want to refer to them. Lots of chat on social media with regards to this, like I've already said. Is it right? Is it wrong? Yada, yada, yada. Greg, we'll start with you. Potentially 10 debutants in that squad for Wigan. Your thoughts?
It's a squad game. I know a lot of people don't agree with this, and I've been monitoring the chat all day, and lots of people are quite angry that Wigan are doing this. It's only what Warrington and Wigan did 2 years ago before the Challenge Cup final, where wholesale changes were made. Notice he's not played Adam Kieran this time round. He doesn't want to repeat the red card, and it was a cracking game. Now, for me, I can understand people's anger. I know Salford were dock points and fined last season.
Well, yeah, let's just, if you're going to mention that, let's just clear this up. So I'll come back to you because you mentioned that, so we may as well go on the fly. For those who have got short memories, when Salford played St Helens at the start of last year, they were deducted 2 points. Okay, they first of all, it was a 16-man squad that they announced, and 8 debutants made their way into that game. They were fined £5,000, suspended until 2029, and they were deducted 2 points. So that's what you're getting at there, mate. And the official statement at the time, over the last month, the Salford management have accepted that the team chosen for the match was significantly weaker than it needed to be. I'll repeat that again. Significantly weaker than it needed to be. Several first-team players advertised as being unable to play in the match were, in fact, available to be selected. The club accept that this offence merited a points deduction. Back to you, Mr. Nixon.
Yeah, okay. Well, they did, if memory serves me correctly, and it's fading by the hour these days, but I think they only put a 16-man squad together for that game as well. And,
they did. But can I go back to what I said? Significantly weaker than it needed to be.
Fine.
That was in a Rugby Football League statement. Back to you.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, a precedent's been set. But my argument is, you name a squad at the beginning of the season. I think Salford, again, not wanting to harp on about Salford, but I think they'd got some players in there on loan who weren't in the original squad named at the beginning of the season. Whether that was taken into account or not, I don't know. But we've got a squad system. And if Wigan want to forfeit, you know, you would think that if Wigan want to lose out on 2 points.
I think forfeit's the right word. Carry on.
Yeah, but it's a squad game, mate, and I know a lot of people are angry by it. You name a squad at the beginning of the season, you're totally entitled to use that entire squad as you see it. You know, Warrington and Wigan, as I said, did it. So yeah, I know Steph's shaking his head, but this is my opinion on it.
Yeah.
That you name a squad at the beginning of the season. You name a squad at the beginning of the season. It's the same with our round ball game that. You know, a decade ago, there's a guy called Alex Ferguson who didn't feel the same team twice in a week, utilising his squad. My opinion is, if you want to utilise your squad, then it's within your rights to do it. As long as they're not bringing anybody in from reserves or academy that weren't named in that squad at the beginning of the season, I don't see there's that much wrong with it, to be honest. And yeah, you know, but the other thing is, we're not in a position in this sport where we can have a squad where you make wholesale changes and that team will be as good as your first team because of salary cap restrictions. And it's also allowed to happen because we have a sport where the team that finishes top aren't necessarily named the champions. Is on a playoff system.
Oh well, we'll come back to that.
Hang on, yeah, but if this is a league where you finish top and you're named champions, would Wigan make wholesale changes and risk losing the 2 points on at the weekend? So that argument as well. But for me, going back to my original argument, it's a squad game and they're allowed to utilise the squad.
Right. We've heard that. Right. Okay. So, Steph, do you agree or disagree with Reggie?
Completely disagree.
Carry on.
And I'm gonna actually give a shout out to Carrie, one of our members, who actually published the RFL operational rules on this exact situation. And I'll read it out. The RFL operational rules requires clubs to select their strongest available first-team squad for all matches, ensuring transparency and integrity in team selection to prevent clubs from misleading the public or fielding weaker lineups intentionally. Squad declarations under RFL Matchday Operation Manual principles, clubs are mandated to play their strongest team available to them. Clubs cannot suggest their team is stronger or weaker by publishing misleading squad lists. First team definitions. The rules define the first team as the club's highest ranking team in their respective competition and expect a full strength squad to be selected accordingly. Shut and closed case. It's in the operational rules. They've broken it. They should be deducted points.
Well, we put the operational rules then on the screen for the people who are watching on the webcast. And yes, well done to Carrie for digging that one out as well. But like I say, the graphic was there on the screen for that one. And yeah, I mean, look, Greg, you mentioned Warrington. We mentioned KR in 2023. Well, if you actually looked at Warrington's squad that played that day, actually, it was littered with actual, squad numbers that were under 30. Well, I mean, I think one of the highest was Lindop, who was 33. He debuted that season against Catalan on the wing in the opening game of the season. So he was similar to Hodgkinson. Now, nobody's kicking off that Hodgkinson's in the squad. It's right that Hodgkinson's in the squad. He's made his mark this season. He's now classed as a first-team player the way that Lindop was back then. So when you actually compare and contrast, yes, Warrington made changes, but Warrington's squad, Duffy was playing, Drinkwater was playing, Rattree was playing, Wrench was playing, Aaron Lindop was playing, Bullock was playing in the pack, Powell was at hooker. I could go on and on and on and on. It was, these were players that were fundamental players at the time. Don't get me wrong, they made changes. I accept that, but not wholesale changes. I want to remind you, as you're talking about squads, let's just remind you of the team lists. Look at the squad numbers. 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37. Like I say, there could be up to 10 debutants. And like I said to Steph, even though the likes of, I think Eckersley probably does play, I think Ensemble probably plays, Mago probably plays. Big question over Farrimond. Is he playing Farrimond? Big question that's going to be interesting to see. Will Farrimond play? So I do think there's going to be massive amounts of youth in there going up against seasoned pros in terms of Hull KR.
Yeah.
And before we bring you back, let's get Pete's take on this. So Matt Pete today has held his press conference, and this is what he had to say. Matt Pete said, as I mentioned at the weekend, it's a player by player. We've got to be intelligent around individuals, whether those are lads that are carrying bangs, most players are, and who have suspension points looming. We're trying to strike the balance. So for me, even Havard was certainly at risk, no question about that. It's 2 big games in a row against the same opposition. This is something we knew was always on the card since the fixtures came out. Not at all. Could have been knocked out, Matty, at Waker. No. Very, very closely knocked out. So you don't, and it's the same. Every club could have said that. I mean, one of the big games of the year before the Challenge Cup final, it's something we've been planning for since before the season started. Both teams face the same challenge. They do, but look at the squad that Willie Peters has picked. Same challenge. And Greg, the thing here is, and I'll get to the implications around Super League in a minute. This is a big debate tonight, and it's right with discussion.
Oh, yeah, it is.
But Willie Peters is not only risking a red card, he's also risking all of his first teamers from a HIA and concussion protocols and not playing in the Challenge Cup final.
Well, yeah, but if Wigan played their first team, they'd still be risking that.
Correct, but what I'm saying is what Matt Peters done is he's took all of that risk away, which is not in line with the operational rules. That's what I'm saying. Well, all that risk for Matt Peters
my argument with that is why put forward a squad at the beginning of the season if you're not allowed to.
Most of those players wasn't in the first team squad, Greg.
Who was that?
Most of those players, the large proportion of those players, were not in the first.
And they probably will not feature, if we're being honest.
They probably won't. They haven't got the numbers in the squad. They only look at the squad. The only players that are in their first team squad, Zaka, look at them. Yeah. Most of they are going to have a lion's share of debutants against
Forbes played for Casford this season.
I'm not disputing that, mate.
George O'Loughlin's played in the cup.
No, he's not. He hasn't played it. Greg. It would be his debut.
the 18th man.
Well, let's just bring you up to speed. So Lucas Mason, Nathan Lowe, Georgia Lachlan, Finlay Yeamans, Finn McMillan, Austin Daniel, Charlie Yeamans, Lewis Daniels, Shay O'Connor, and Callum Rathbone have not played a competitive first team game for Wigan.
Right. Okay. But O'Loughlin has been 18th man.
But he's not played a competitive game for Wigan.
No, he's still been in the first team squad though. He's not
played a competitive game for Wigan.
But he's still been in the first team squad, mate.
Go on, carry on.
Anyway, my argument is, no matter what and people might think I'm totally wrong. What's the point in having a squad game? There's not this fuss in football when teams are rested for the Carabao Cup, or in cricket when you're playing a dead rubber in a World Cup. There's no argument about squad members being in. So I understand the operational rules. I understand,
and that, as Steph said, that's the be all and end all.
And that's the kind of that's the sticking point here. And if operational rules are to be held up, then Wigan will be fined and will be docked points.
Do you believe that?
My point is here, it's a squad game. You should be allowed as a coach to utilise your squad players.
That's not the rules, though, is it? I think the biggest problem is...
Why have a squad then? Back in the days before Super League, you just had a first team, you name your subs, and then you didn't have a squad. You just brought players in as and when.
You have a squad, Reggie, because when you get injuries, those players get their opportunities. And Matt Peters tripped himself up in his own statement there, and this is the whole reason why Wigan should be docked points for it, because he has specifically said it's not just injuries, they're doing it to protect players who may get a ban. That is not in the integrity of the sport. That is completely and utterly wrong and against the whole principles of the RFL, the operational rules that they've set out. You can't rest players and put the game. It's more than naughty, Reggie, because this is the Thursday night game live with build-up on Sky Sports that they've been building up this week as well. It's embarrassing Sky Sports because the likelihood is KR will put a score on this Wigan team, and it being the only Thursday game that's on, and the operational rules state you have to select your strongest available team. Forget injuries. That's understandable. And if even if they'd arrested Harry Smith, maybe, to protect Harry Smith, fine. You can understand that. But you can't go in and just take the whole, pretty much, of your first team squad out because you've got the Challenge Cup the next week. That is not what the operational rules state.
Well, what I would say is that,
I know what you're saying, Steph.
Right, well, what I would have expected, for example, would I have expected Brad O'Neill to play this? No. Would I have expected Tom Forbes to come in? Yeah. It's the same with what's really surprised me. And again, if we go back to KR's squad, okay, when you go back to KR's squad, do I expect Bill Leyland to probably play over Jez Litton? Yeah. That's one change. I'd expect that. That's fine. If you want to take, something like Jez Litton out of this game, but replace him with Bill Leyland, for me, that's one-on-one, and it's not going to change an awful lot. In there as well, you've got the likes of Pangai Jr., who has come in, who potentially could play, maybe. And again, if they was to go and take out like Jesse Sue and put Pangai Jr. in, that's one change. But the vast majority of the KR team that plays on, well, he might actually give the likes of Ryan Hampshire and Avion a go now he's seen the Wigan team, but that will be off the back of the Wigan team that has been selected in the squad. Had Wigan have gone full strength, what I'm about to say would have been null and void for me. I think he'd have gone for it because even KR at the moment are playing catch up where the league leaders is concerned. So I actually think there'll be limited changes, but maybe a couple of key personnel for like roles. But what we've seen in the Wigan side is wholesale changes. And I think that's why I've seen it all day on social media. The people kicking off. Craig Forth in the chat said, if we were playing Bradford Castleford, would anybody have cared? Changes of that magnitude, I think, yes. Had they changed, like I say, 3 or 4, probably not. No, they wouldn't have said boo to a goose. But when you've seen wholesale changes like that, and going back to what Steph said, the statement is we're protecting our players. When the other coach, you talk about integrity of the sport and the operational rules, credit to KR with this. They are abiding by operational rules and the integrity of Super League. That's what they're doing. But by doing so, what Willie Peters have done, and I'll reiterate it, he is putting at risk his players from injury. And in this day and age of head injury assessment, where the risks are really high, brave thing to do where Willie Peters are concerned, Matty's made his choice on that. It is what it is. And I don't really want to go in circles, but what I want to do is I want to move the conversation now to the implications of Super League.
Yeah.
We've seen over time, KR rested, lost to Leigh. Warrington, rested some key players, lost to Wigan. Is history about to repeat itself? That's an interesting point. But let's go back to Super League, okay? Because what I want to now show, this is this weekend. This is this weekend in Super League. And what I want everybody to take real attention to is who the teams are playing. And when you go down the right-hand side there in terms of Saints are playing Castleford, Leeds are playing Huddersfield, Warrington are playing Bradford, then it's the KR Wigan game, Wakey are playing Toulouse, Leigh are playing Hull FC, and of course then we've got the Dragons taking on York. Now, if you look at this from the point of view of where league positions currently are, with the exception of Wigan, the other 7 clubs could win this weekend quite easily based on league position. And what that's going to do is going to put the Dragons and Leopards, and of course this is fictional, but when you look at who these other teams are playing, at the end of this weekend, Wigan could still be sitting in 6th, but the Leopards and the Dragons could be 2 points behind them. Trinity could be 2 points, and the Robins could be 2 points ahead of him. Warrington and the Rhinos could be 4 points ahead of him. And Saints could be 6 points ahead of him. This in a season where we've already seen when Wigan have struggled with injuries, lost to the likes of Castleford and Huddersfield. I think this is a massive gamble. I think for Wigan to do what they've done, they obviously, going back to your point, Greg, think they're going to finish top 6. I would argue, unlike any season we've seen before, that is not a guarantee, especially if you're Catalan, Leigh, Wigan, and Wakey at this moment in time, because I think the ones who are sitting in the top 3, if they go on and beat the teams that they should beat, they should be okay now for top. Anything could happen, but they should be okay for top 3. And the way that KR are playing, they're going to win this weekend. You'd expect KR would go into that bracket, but after that, for me, it's game on. It really is. And if we can get hit again with more critical injuries, this could come back to bite him, Greg.
Yeah, and that was a point I made that it is a big call from Matty P away from RFL rules and everything like that, and it being a squad game. It is. It's a massive gamble, and that was the point I was making, that you can afford to make this gamble in a sport where you don't have to finish top to then be crowned champions. And I hear what you're saying, Dave, that it could cost them a top 6 position because they've not played well for a large chunk of this season. Wigan lost 4 on the bounce, and you would think with form like that the Challenge Cup is their only chance of silverware.
No,
where did he come from? Always on my mind. Silverware, although I wouldn't bet against that, and maybe that again is in the back of Pete's mind, thinking that Super League, the grand final isn't guaranteed. Challenge Cup might be our only chance of silverware. You don't know, do you? You don't know.
The only thing that's more laughable at the moment is KR fans trying to suggest that this is that this could go either way on Thursday. You're having a laugh. Look, you're the quadruple champions. If you don't put 40 on Wigan on Thursday, you should be very disappointed. And actually, going back to
when KR win, mate, those fans won't care. It's Billy Boston, Martin Fire, Andy Farrell in that Wigan team.
But going back to the league table, if I'm right, and I'm not being funny, it could all, you never know. But you would expect the quadruple winners to go up against whatever that Wigan team now is going to look like, and I would expect at home them to put at least 40 on Wigan. And if that's the case, look at the points difference. Wigan would drop to circa 60. The Robins, they would go up to nearly 200 and have the highest difference. Well, other teams are going to put points on, but they go up to nearly 200 in the 4 column. Now, it could be in a season like this that this game, again, from an integrity perspective, gives KR the points difference that at the end of the season in a tie, you could look back and go, if Wigan had gone strong, that win would not have been whatever it's going to be. It might have been closer. And as a consequence, don't get the shield. Equally, from a Wigan's jeopardy point of view, the points difference could cost them a top 6 position. So again, we go back, and this is why the operational rules are there. It's for the integrity of Super League.
If you throw that table back up, Dave, you'll see my point here instantly in terms of why this is wrong. So basically, we're all expecting KR to beat this Wigan team. It'd take a miracle, I think, for that Wigan team to beat a near full strength KR side. So what that's done instantly is robbed Trinity of the chance to go 2 points clear of KR when they had a chance to. It's robbed Warrington Wolves of pulling 4 points clear of KR, the same with Leeds, and it's robbed St Helens of pulling 6 points clear of KR. Through no fault of their own in what could have been a 50-50, or what was a 50-50 contest. And that's why it's so important for the integrity of the game, because it's been gifted. That result has been gifted to Hull KR, a team, let's face it, that don't need anything gifted to them. They're good enough. So as a fan of those other teams, and don't forget, 2 points has made the difference between, top two sides, home playoff things. It has implications throughout the whole season. And that's why, I don't care about Wigan and what they do. What I do care about is the integrity of Super League, and it's impacting 6-7 clubs, this one decision. And it's so thought of whatever. And Matty Pete probably doesn't care. Wigan probably don't care. But I care as a Super League fan and the integrity of our competition. And because it's affecting other teams as well, that's why they've got to be docked points.
Well, I did say that the titles might have been out of date, but that has been a very, very tasty debate for the last 25 minutes to start off this week. And look, the bottom line is it's all about opinions, and the proof will be in the pudding. Will Wigan go on and win the Challenge Cup? If they do, what will the fallout be then? And it's interesting because, like I say, if Wigan go and win the Challenge Cup, Hull KR fans are going to come out and point back to this. That's what they're going to do. I don't care what anybody says.
And what if Wigan win?
What if Wigan win against Hull KR on Thursday? Well, that's what I said. If Wigan win, that's what KR are going to point back to.
What if Wigan win on Thursday?
Greg's that's what the punishment.
No, give yours.
Stranger things have happened.
Greg.
Give your head a wobble.
Oh, dear.
Wow. Look, I'm telling you now, KR fans, you don't win this game. You want shooting. To quote Brian Clough, you want shooting. I've seen Bazza in the chat going on about KR nearly lost to Warrington's kids at the back end of the season. There's a big difference. You were going for your first ever League Leaders Shield and the pressure that surrounded that. That was more about KR. I mean, Warrington played well, don't get me wrong, but there was a lot of nervousness that night in the crowd as well around that game, which fed onto the pitch. Completely different kettle of fish. KR now have been there, done it, and got the T-shirt. They have got the experience now to cope with pressure, which they've proven time again. Brisbane being case in point. So for me, it's KR should win by over 40. Should do. Easy. And if they don't, wow, what a missed opportunity to pile on some points difference, because they are there for the taking. And yeah, if Wigan want to put this on a screen and put it in the dressing room before the game, like they did Don't Write Off the Saints for motivation, good luck to you. But I'm telling you now, I can't see Wigan they'll probably get the respect of something like a 20 point start. It's going to be, I'm going to go 40 plus. Greg, honestly, what do you say?
No. I was being facetious.
I know you were. What do you think, really, based on what
it's going to be? It should be a healthy win, but Wigan are one of those sides, aren't they? It's going to be a healthy win for KR. I would be surprised if it wasn't.
So therefore, what number would you put on it?
I think you're right. I think it should be about. It depends whether KR really, if they get to a comfortable lead and then they might ease off themselves, but have done it the right way. I just want to answer Greg Roach's question as well in terms of what I think the punishment should be. It should be exactly the same as Salford. It should be a £5,000 fine and a 2 point deduction. And the main reason being, and why I think it's case closed, is Matty Pete's statement. He has admitted that he has got fit players who he's not playing due to them risking getting a suspension. Well, that's not good enough, Matty. I'm sorry. That doesn't wash. That is case closed for me. If he'd have come out and said they all had niggles, every single one of them players, it'd be hard to, it'd be hard to believe, but it'd be hard to go against that. How do you prove that? But he's admitted he's got players that are fit, that he's not playing them because they may get a suspension. Well, that's not the integrity of the competition, Matty, unfortunately. You get fined and you get deducted points for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, Matt Pete's not going to apologise for doing what he believes is best for Wigan. And he's not. He's done what he believes is best for Wigan. The question here, which I think Steph nailed, was where's the Rugby League, where's the RFL and Super League sit on this? Because, again, that operational rule clearly states, and precedent has been set with Salford And this is where the likes of Salford fans, who, of course, there's been a lot of water under the bridge where they're concerned since that first game against Celtic last week, but they will sit there if action isn't taken and go, how can that be? How can that be? How at a time when they didn't need to be kicked in the you-know-whats and got kicked in the you-know-whats time and time again for not being able to field teams, etc., and the financial implications and the deductions and all the rest, they got the absolute kitchen sink thrown at them. They would probably argue, so we got the kitchen sink, and in fairness to the Wigan Warriors, they've got a new bathroom fitted. You know, it's one of those, isn't it?
If you remember at the time, though, Dave, with Salford, I think I said on this show, it's obvious Salford have got players that are available to play, and they do it out of petulance. And it's the same thing. This is exactly the same thing. It's Brad, but that was petulance. This is preservation. And it's the same, you know, both are wrong. You can't do it for the integrity of the competition.
Yeah. And Craig said, what if he believes these youngsters could compete? 10 o'clock Thursday night, Craig. 10 o'clock Thursday night. We'll just leave that there. But anyway, let's get a bit of merriment into Super League Roll. Look, we've got to go to the hard issues, and that has been primed today for that level of discussion. And I hope people appreciate, you know, we put a bit of facts in there. You know, this isn't shooting from the hip. You know, we've given some facts. We've gone into some detail. Like I say, 10 debutants potentially for Wigan this weekend. Massive wholesale changes from the week before. The comments from Matt, the operational rules, what happened with Salford. We have given a very balanced, rounded debate. None of you on this screen has got any allegiance to KR, Wigan or whatever. But what we have got allegiance to is Super League, the competition and integrity. That's what we've got. We want the best players. We have been robbed. We have been robbed of an epic on Thursday. Robbed of it. Simple as that. And to say, oh, well, it's poor planning on behalf of the Rugby Football League to have KR and Wigan on the week. Well, hang on. Nobody knows. As we've seen this year, KR have lost to York. Wakey nearly beat Wigan, right? KR lost away at Catalan. How can you possibly envision that will be the final? It's a nonsense. It speaks
of entitlement. It's entitlement.
Absolutely, it does. And disrespect to the other teams in the competition.
Absolutely.
That's what. Anyway, we will leave it there. I'm sure that will rumble on and on and on. Let's have a bit of merriment. Right, we did it last week, and you know I enjoyed it so much. I'm going to do it again. You'd like a ticket for the Challenge Cup final in Club Wembley? Hey, there you go. Should we give another one away? Oh, dearie me. Right. Get yourselves. I don't know how we're going to do this one this week. Well, we need to come up with something. But yeah, just in the chat, who'd be up for a free, you know, just let us know. Would you be up for a free ticket for Club Wembley? Just put it in the chat. Let's see if there's any merit in it before we start going super chatting. But yeah, good evening to one and all. And like I say, great conversation in the chat. Great to see so many people getting involved. Do talk amongst yourselves. It does feel like, just based on what I've been seeing going down the screen, there's a lot of difference. I think there's a lot of opinion in there, one way, the other, you know, and the facts and the actual truth probably lies somewhere in between, and we'll find that out as we go through. Let's get a bit of merriment into Super League World Weekly tonight. Let's talk things that we can celebrate. And in fairness to Wigan, I'm going to start with Wigan, because I want to celebrate perhaps one of the tries of the season. Harry Smith, take a bow. That pitching wedge to Hodgkinson for the Wardle try was a thing of absolute beauty. Anybody tell me that Harry Smith isn't an absolute wizard at 7 for dictating play with that boot of his? My Lord, even Mr. Sheen would be proud to actually dust that boot down and give it a polish. Absolutely incredible. Reggie, you've got to say, when you saw that, did you roll over your city like I did?
Oh, I stood up and applauded, mate.
Beautiful.
It was superb. That's Harry Smith at his best. You know, he gets a lot of criticism, Harry Smith. I think he's a great player. He controls the game. It's almost like a chess match with Harry Smith. His kicking game, forcing teams back. And that was gold. Absolute gold. I stood up and applauded.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
I mean, Steph, you know, you've got no love for the Warriors, mate, but you've got love for great rugby league. That was absolutely glorious.
Oh no, it's superb piece of play, and I think it's no. I mean, I think it's laughable that people don't rate Harry Smith. If I'm honest, I think stats and just watching play shows what a great player he is, and it's no coincidence that he comes back and Wigan start winning again.
Well, and again, there's been a lot of look. We don't do rumours here on Super League, but there's lots of rumours that Harry Smith potentially might not be at Wigan next year for salary cap pressures. And I would say I just do not see how Wigan. Look, they've got a problem with Farriman. I get that. He can't sit there forever and a day, but I have great concerns in the short term, not medium to long with Farriman, but certainly in the short term. It's a brave decision. I mean, they wouldn't want to lose him. It's a salary cap sport. They wouldn't want to lose him. But for me, they've got to find a way to keep. He's just too vital to their team. It's what a try! Absolute glorious rugby league football that from Mr. Smith. Loved every minute of it. Yeah. Right, let's give Wakey Sunflowers 10-0 down against Catalan. Catalan were purring down the left edge. Solomona Fatape was having an absolute field day. It took him a bit of time to settle down on that edge from a defensive perspective, Wakey, but then 58-0. And if you remember, Greg, it was Catalan last year at the DIY where they put another great show on. They love playing Catalan at home, but 58 unanswered points. And the middle unit, Fatape, Hamlin, Uele, Lolasio, McMeek, absolutely. Let's give homage to the middle unit of Wakey because it was them who laid that platform for the result.
Was it Fatape that got a hat trick?
For Tilly.
For Tilly, so yeah, for Tilly got a hat trick.
He's still trying to find the line. Carry on.
I've nearly said get me farts mixed up, but I can't say that. Yeah, for Tilly was super. Yeah, that middle unit. I mean, I think, to be fair to Wakefield, they were very slow out the traps. And it was a bit of a slap in the Catalan. Let's face it, I've been playing that well until he beat Warrington the other week. It was a bit of a slap in the face, a bit of a wake-up call. And they threw everything, including Wigan's new kitchen at Catalan, did that middle unit of Wakefield. A superb performance. Performance.
I have to go there, Steph. I mean, when you see Fertilli crawling to the line, that was not a good look for the Catalan Dragons. I mean, defensively, at times, Catalan, considering how competitive they were in that first 20 minutes, I mean, the capitulation of the Dragons was unbelievable. But you just can't take anything away from Wakey to 58-0 from 10-0 down when they were up against it at that point. So to turn the tide and then to put that level of points on, it was an impressive performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think every club knows in Super League, and include KR, Wigan, everybody in this, when you go to Wakey, you have to be defensively on it because for me, they're one of the best attacking sides in the competition. And then they showed that again, it was a bit of a cheers, Nige.
Cheers, Nige. Thanks for the beer.
It was a bit of a slow start from the trend, 10-0 down, but 58 or whatever it was, unanswered points is phenomenal. And when prop forward to scoring hat tricks, I mean, as great as it is, and we love to see a prop forward hat trick because they're quite rare, but you have to question defences, don't you, in those situations?
I think you do. Craig Forth saying that, with the departure of Misky, we'll get to that later, they might have a little bit of money to throw at Harry Smith. I think how much will be left? Because Hodgkinson's going to want a tickle. Yeah. Let's be crystal on that, Mr. Hodgkinson. Eckersley's probably going to want a tickle. So there's actually those younger players that all of a sudden could probably demand another 20, 30, 40k a year based on their current performances. Farriman, he's going to want a tickle. If he's staying, how much money do you think Mr. Smith's on? He's not got a chateau, has he? Unlike Mr. Sale. But anyway, that's by the by. By all accounts, room has it, Mr. Sale's having to sell the West Wing for a visit to America next year. But don't know how true that is. But anyway, that's by the by. Let's go to KR against the Leopards, Greg. I mean, look, again, it doesn't disappoint. I think these two go like salt and pepper, cheese and onion. When they're on a field of play, they complement each other. From a quality game of rugby league perspective, very seldom did they disappoint. It was a wonderful game of rugby league, and I was there, loved every minute of it. Was you getting a bit giddy in 10 minutes to go when Leigh were putting the foot down?
I must admit, I thought, if that game had gone on five or so minutes longer, I think Leigh might have just snatched it. Yeah, it showed great resilience from the Leopards. You know, it was. Did KR take the foot off the gas, knowing what's coming up over the next 2 games? I don't know, but you know, it was a superb comeback from the Leopards. And you know, you kind of willing. I'm not anti-Hull KR or anything like that, but when teams come back like that, you're almost willing over that line just to put the.
Were you willing to lose over the line in France?
No.
Well, stop been talking nonsense then, because you don't.
No, we're not supposed to lose.
Called you out on that one, mate.
That's a different kettle of frogs, stir altogether.
Anyway, last cargo. Anyway, you know, Steph, incredible game of rugby league. For me personally, had everything. Had a bit of contentious, had a bit of massive hits, lovely tries. You know, had everything. I mean, you must still be replaying that last 10 minutes and wondering how did you fluff your lines on 2 occasions?
I think you've got to pay credit to KR's scrabbling defence, and just to add to Reggie there, I don't think KR backed off with whatever's in mind. I think both sets of players were on the haunches at full time in that game. It was a playoff feel game for me.
Yeah,
that
it was.
intensity.
Yeah.
I think Leigh's completion rate was atrocious at 56%. Obviously, the conditions weren't great at the LSV, and I think the way Leigh were chucking it about didn't really help in that respect. But showed great spirit to come back against, well, not a good Hull KR, an excellent Hull KR side. And I think, but for a bounce of the ball, Leigh could have snatched it. But for a goal kicker, would have been at golden point. We've said that a few times about Leigh this season already. But what an advert for the game. I think as a neutral, it must have been a really enjoyable game. It's just a shame that Burgess robbed Leigh of one of the greatest second half match-ending moments we've ever seen. The Pappy chip over. I mean, we talked about Harry Smith's kick.
Yeah, that was
if
good.
Leigh scored that, and that's from a hooker. If Leigh scored that try, wow. And at the Sports Village as well, that stadium, it was already going off. I think the roof would have blown off the LSV if they'd have got the try there. But credit to Hull KR for sticking in it, and credit to both sides' defence. I think a lot has been talked about Leigh's completion rate, and that's justifiably so. But I'd like to focus on Leigh's defence, and to keep Hull KR out for 0 in that second half was a phenomenal achievement by Leigh. And I think what it did do, from a purely Leigh fan perspective, it showed that Leigh can mix it, after being written off already by everyone, that they can mix it with the big boys.
I've never doubted that, mate. I've never doubted that. In terms of, I want to also just, as a fleeting one, I just want to pay credit to York and Castleford, who equally had a really good tussle in the build-up to that League KR. I really enjoyed watching that before the game. Speaking of Toulouse, Greg, and Huddersfield, I'm not going to put Leigh into the same bracket because I think Leigh are a cut above. But in terms of Toulouse, and they've done this a few times, Saints at home, they just start really poorly. Huddersfield, again, against Saints, just started really poor and then brought themselves back in. We have, of course, Craig Lingard Championship, we'll believe with Craig, and we get into the mind of a coach. So I hope if Craig's watching, I hope we get this about right. But it's one of them where what as a neutral in these perspectives should we be celebrating? Should we be celebrating the resilience of the fact that the never say die attitude of Toulouse and Huddersfield? Or should we be calling into question the Warringtons and the Saints of this world, who for whatever reason, when they are absolutely over the hill or should be over the hill and far away, for whatever reason, are conceding points. And it's not the first time Warrington's done that this season. Which way do you go? Celebrate the relentlessness of Toulouse and Huddersfield, albeit they're letting too many points in the first half, or question the teams that are in the box seat?
Yeah, I mean, Warrington did against Huddersfield, didn't they? I think, just because one team plays well in the first half of the game, doesn't mean the other team can't start playing well in the second half and get points back. So you've got to praise the resilience of these sides. Warrington have been accused of putting the cute on the rack. That might well be the case, but you've also got to, be less disrespectful for these teams that are coming back into it. And, they scored some great tries to lose in that second half. And but for Josh Thewlis, could have won it in that second half. So, yeah, I'd rather praise the resilience and the doggedness of the teams that look to be down and out at half time and come back into it and give a good go of it and just a few unlucky bounces of the ball or a few great defensive tackles away from winning the game. Let's celebrate rather than say, the other team had won it, so they just gave up.
I think the biggest surprise of the two was probably Huddersfield. We've seen Toulouse do this a few times this season, down and out and come back. I weren't expecting that from Huddersfield, even though that's a little bit of the new coach is about to get off the plane and we better book our ideas up here second half, lads. Steph?
Essentially, yeah. There may be a bit of that. But yeah, it's being ruthless, isn't it? And I think that's what the top sides do. And I'm not saying stupid because we're talking about St. Helens, we're currently top of Super League, but the ones that go on to be the league leaders, the ones that go on to be the grand final champions, when they get the opportunity, they tend to put teams to the sword and really, push on. You've got to give credit to the teams that are in the lower end of the table that are putting in because it would be very easy for them to roll over, have the belly tickled. That would be easy and understandable for some teams. But you have got to question the ruthlessness of some of the clubs at the moment. And if that was a KR playing Huddersfield, I can't see them letting Huddersfield back into it. Yeah. And people might say, well, you're talking KR and St. Helens. Well, St. Helens are top of the league at the moment.
St. Helens top of the league. There's a question in the chat by Alan Clegg. Good evening, Al. Hope you're well, mate. How did Burgess get man of the match? The simple answer is he made that try-saving tackle. But you're absolutely right. I mean, was it a moment of the match? Did he have a moment of the match? Absolutely. Was he man of the match? He carried the ball 8 times for 32 metres. Didn't break a tackle all game. And when you consider some of the players' performances for both sides, Hiku, May, Pape, offering Gowie, you could ones that really stood out in terms of they had a game. Bailey Hodge, cameo, but we've seen precedent with Patrick Mago in terms of 17 minutes gets you a man of the match. There's so many candidates for an 80-minute display or a 60-minute display. I appreciate moment of the match, absolutely. Clearly the moment of the match was that Burgess tackle, but was it man of the match? And I think you've got to make a distinction between the two. You can have a moment of the match, but not necessarily have a man of the match. I thought he was very fortunate indeed to be given such an accolade. Carroll Moore, Rugby League was the winner last weekend. Absolutely couldn't agree with you more, Carroll. That game was a great advert for the greatest game on earth. Before we get into a little bit of banging and hanging, boys, different show tonight, a bit more conversational. I've got to pay homage, Greg, to 2 players who continue to perform at an incredible high level, that are making a massive impact on their team, sometimes in victory, a lot of the time in defeat. Wonga Blake and Ollie Ashelbot at the weekend. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. Both of them. At the start of the season, nobody would have thought that we would be talking, and we give players their due respect here. It's too easy to talk about the superstars. But Wonga Blake and Ollie Ashelbot, mate, incredible again.
Yeah, Ollie Ashelbot got me the most points in my dream team this week, so I'm quite happy with him. These Wonga Blake didn't have the greatest of times at St. Helens. I think we all agree on that when we were discussing the team's beginning of the season. He's had his injury problems as well this season, but he's had a new lease of life at Odsal, and he's scoring tries, isn't he? Ashelbot,
the offload, at the risk of interrupting there, FC shouldn't have been surprised, because on that left edge, he tried a pass earlier in the game that didn't quite come off, and his offload for the try, for the Ryan try, I thought, good finish as well. Take about it, Ryan. What a finish that was. Didn't get the replays that Sambu's got, but it was a good try, Ethan. If you had the right shirt on, maybe they got more flowers. But
John Wells wasn't there, so
John Wells wasn't there to tell him. But again, Wonga Blake, lovely offload. His all-round performance as well. His stats were incredible. Wow, just wow. Wonga, mate. We applaud you at Super League Raw. We applaud you, mate. You're playing
And
games.
Ashall Bolt he burst onto the scene. I think he was seen an England footballer, wasn't he, at one point? I can't remember who it was. Was it Steph Horton? I can't remember. But he was seen an England football at one point. And he was kind of all the headlines. And I think he suffered a really bad injury. But he's, Ashall Bolt, the meters he makes from fullback are phenomenal. I think he's probably one of the, it's helped that a lot of fullbacks have had a lot of injuries this season, but I think he's been outstanding and one of the most consistent players when he's played in Super League this season.
But he's not in the top 10 for Man of Steel, Greg. How can you say that?
I know.
Consistency gets you nowhere, mate, in 2026. You know what I mean?
I know. It's crazy.
I've got nothing against Jez Litton being in the top 10 when I say this, but, an International Ashes series is considered for 2026 Man of Steel, not Ali Ashall's box. And look, Litton deserves to be in the top 10. I'm not having to go at Jez. I'm just the precedent of it that we're talking about an Ashes series in a Man of Steel debate. Come on. Deary me. But anyway, we did that last week. But Wonga Blake, Ollie Ashallbot, you saw Ashallbot firsthand at the Leopards. I mean, he's a great player. I mean,
he is.
I think the biggest concern for Toulouse is that somebody might try and poach him.
Well, yeah, potentially. It was Georgia Stanway just before Ollie gets in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was it.
Yes, Steph Horton's happily married lady, I think. So yeah. In fact, I think I'm pretty sure her husband suffers with MND. I think Steph Horton's husband's been diagnosed with MND. But anyway, that's on a different tangent.
Yeah, it is. Right, boys, what a great chat we're having tonight. Time for this. Here we go. Banging or hanging? Yes, it's time once again for a little bit of banging or hanging, and we're going to start with this that has broken this evening, gentlemen, that John Cartwright is going to be the head coach of the Catalan Dragons between now and the end of the season. Greg, banging or hanging?
Banging for Catalan, banging for John Cartwright. I think a great appointment, even if it is just to the end of this season. We won't reiterate how badly he was treated by Hull, and I hope he does really well there. But banging for both parties, I think.
Steph, what are you saying? Banging? Tribbian. I'm going to go hanging. Not because I don't think John Cartwright is exceptional. Not because I don't think he's going to do a good job. I just question it. Now till the end of the season. Why? I mean, he'll make me eat me words if he goes and manages to get in the top six. But the way Catalan have been playing this year, I don't see Catalan top six. So it's like, well, you're bringing a coach in to a dressing room down till the end of the season. Don't get me wrong. I understand that perhaps they don't want to give it Ryan Sheridan. I sort of understand that to a degree. But I'm just like, well, if it was a 2-year contract, 3-year contract, I'm banging all the way. I'm like, yes. Well, we want to see John. I want to see John Cartwright in Super League. I think he's earned his flowers and deserves to be in. But I just think, wow, why? Just odd. Great to see him. I think he's a great coach, and that's not nothing against John. He'll do a great job while he's there. But from a Catalonian perspective, I'm just going.
He might have something else already lined up, though, right? He might be going back to Australia for next year. And
how does that serve Catalan? He just seems a bit odd.
Oh. Yeah, I mean,
he must fancy the chances of being in the six with him, which, why wouldn't he, where they're currently situated?
Just a bit of stability until the end of the season, maybe.
Yeah, like I say, anyway, there you go. We can respectfully disagree on Super League. Well, it's what makes us who we are.
We've done already, haven't we?
Absolutely, indeed. Right, here we go. Steph's got his passport out. The Bulls and the Leopards, Las Vegas, 2027. He's already booked his flight, the lad. Go on, son. First of all, I fought Steph for St. Helens and Hull FC. I mean, talk about be well and truly bitten, because they pulled out for financial reasons. I bet they're a bit gutted now. I mean, you've got to be in it to win it. And did that? Well, I think it's one of those. Did they show their hand too soon in a gambling kind of way?
It's a great gambling terminology there, Dave. And and you could add into that was Derek a bluff when he said he wouldn't take the Leopards to Vegas. But I think just on that, in context, I think Derek was talking about a Leigh home game. He may not have said that specifically, but if you listen to what he was saying, it was about all the families going and stuff and Leigh missing out. Realistically, Leigh take 1,500 to Bradford at Bradford. So it's not really people missing out by taking this game to Vegas, as I suspect. At least 1,000 of those people who would have gone to Bradford away will be going to Vegas. I mean, the Facebook groups in Leigh have lit up this with the excitement and whatnot. So I think it's great for both clubs, and I know some people think it's a bit early for Bradford, but look at the attendances. Bradford are getting over what Leigh are getting in terms of average attendance at the moment. I know Leigh have got some bigger games to come, which will bump that attendance figure up. And Bradford will make some big signings off the back of this. It will help with recruitment and Leigh as well. That could be a difference between one or two clubs that come into you, that you get to go over to Vegas next year. And anybody who says, about competitiveness, well, we've seen the two sides go over there get drubbings. So far they've not been entertaining games. So this one potentially could be the most entertaining of all of them.
Well, we've got to give a big shout out to Hawkins 1967, who's gone big on the super chats. He'll see you in Vegas. Steph will be doing lives from Vegas. And Hawkins, if you're in Dallas, we have not got a Super League Raw member in the US of A. We've got them in Canada, but you could be, sir, our first US not international. We've got some of them, but our first ever member from the USA as a Leifer. So the question is he going to join? There's the QR code. Will we get our first USA member at Super League Raw? Clearly a Leopards fan. That will be a wonderful thing. Scan the QR code. Come and be a part of Super League Raw. We've actually got the likes of Jill, who and sometimes Paul in Canada, who dial in from Canada to do final hooters and tackle talks. Mate, you'd be welcome on any of them shows. Hawkins 1967 from Dallas in the USA. Will he become a member this evening? I will keep an eye out and let you know. But thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Really, really appreciate it. Greg, clearly from a Steph point of view, this is banging. He's off to Vegas.
Yeah.
From your perspective, banging or hanging, Bradford, Leigh Leopards?
I think it's banging for both sets of fans. And like Steph said, the last two games have been one-sided affairs, and I've not advertised Super League in the light that we wanted them to be. So why not? Why not? I think it's banging for both sets of fans. Let those fans go and enjoy Vegas. Go and see some Australian rugby league players in the flesh. Great for both teams.
Well, Phil Webster has been going since the 60s, but Vegas topped anything he'd ever experienced before. Craig Forth saying, Hawkins, get it done. You won't regret it. Cavill Moore saying, you won't regret it, dude. Hey, bit of turtles coming out of Cavill there. Hanging or banging, Bradford Bulls against the Leigh Leopards. I think it is what it is. I think for me, what we do know is that both sets. I just hope it's as you say, Steph. I do hope that people go in mass like they have done for the last 2 years, and they show yet again the difference of having passionate British rugby league fans in the stadium.
I have no doubt, Dave. No doubt that both these teams are going to take massive numbers. It may not be quite as much as what KR and Leeds took, but looking at the social medias at the moment, definitely from a Leeds perspective. I don't know if you could throw David's comments up there.
Yeah, absolutely. David's busy booking everything for you while you're show ponying on here, mate, is what he's saying. Look at the. I know it's not Catalan, but look at the amount of fans Leigh take to Catalan away, and I think it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I know it's a lot of money for some people, and it's a lot of money for most people. Sorry to rephrase that, but it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I think a lot of people will. I mean, Leigh fans are still pinching themselves that they're in Super League. Let's get it right, So I thought Derek's promo that they posted today, different gravy again, and when you consider that's coming out of his back pocket, to do that, and it's the way we should. Oh, is he? Is he in? Is somebody scanned the QR? Is it Hawkins? Is he in? That's the question. We'll keep an eye on that. Outstanding stuff. But yeah, look, we wish Bradford and Leigh all the best. Enjoy your time in Vegas, and I can't wait for Steph's morning shows. I would hazard a guess, because I think by the evening, I think he'll be a bit sore. But anyway, that's by the by. Right, let's get into the next one. Brodie Croft, the Bank of Super League. Brodie goes in, a Leeds Rhinos, comes out a Warrington Wolf. Now, let's just set this up before we ask you the questions, boys. I do apologise. Hawkins, I'm a member already. Well, I can't remember Hawkins in my members. I do apologise. I'll check. What's your membership name? That's interesting. I've not seen that. I do apologise. Right. Anyway, we go back into this one. Croft again. Croft going into Warrington. Not been announced by Warrington yet. It looks as if it's done and dusted. Hence the reason why we're going there. Brodie Croft went to Leeds for 300 grand. They actually paid, which is, let's be fair, in this day and age, is a very rare thing. So Leeds Rhinos board level will probably think Brodie Croft owes them. Not that anybody owes anybody anything in life, but probably thinks, you know what, Brodie, we paid to bring you here and gave you a platform on which to go. He's cited that he wants to be closer to home. Manchester to Warrington, Manchester to Leeds. It's not it's not massive. It's not huge, to be fair. So before we do banging, look, it's banging. Probably people would say it's hanging for Leeds and banging for Warrington. But maybe you're disagreeing with that. It's hanging for Leeds and banging for Warrington. So let's get into some more debate on this. Should Leeds Rhinos be aggrieved here based on the way he was brought into the club, the way he's been playing, the platform he's been given?
I think they should be disappointed that they've not negotiated a deal before it's due to expire, and they've sat on it. They could have done this last year and tied him down for another, especially a player that you paid a transfer fee for. If he was in your long-term plans, then it's not always good business to agree it over a year in advance, so they don't get to the stage where they become eligible to talk to other agents. You can kind of understand it from Brodie's perspective, if that is a reason, and he is, I get what you're saying about it's not much difference, but it is a difference. It is a difference going over the M62, because there's always a car crash at Huddersfield and you get stuck in it every week. But
you're on the M62 Manchester to Warrington recently.
Well, yeah, no, it's not much better, but yeah, I think more psychologically it's better being on this side of the Pennines, isn't it? No,
but you know what? Hang on that. There was comments on last week's show that we're biased against Yorkshire sides. And I just want to address whoever that person was. Can I just address this, right? Look at the team of the weeks. We've had Wonga Blake as our player of the month this year already. We've had, remind me, it was Tyrone May. We've had Tyrone. I'm trying to remember who the middle one was now. Who's the middle one? Can't remember.
The Leeds prop. Was it the Leeds prop?
No, it was Hamlin Yilly of Wakey. So all three players of the month have been on that side of the Pennines. I don't know who that was, but they don't watch us. We are not Lancashire biased. I'm not.
We've just bashed Wigan for.
Exactly. We're not. No, I'm not having that. We've done massive pieces on Castleford and Leigh. I'm not having that. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, just a quick hello to our newest member. Again, I've not seen Hawkins on. Do you know what, Hawkins? I do apologise. I'll have to look at that. Have you done it on YouTube? Is that why I missed it? Are you a YouTube member? Just clear that up for me, Hawkins, because you're really making me concerned now, because I'm normally pretty good on that kind of stuff. But Joanne Bentley, hey, John Beasley, prick your ears up, mate. You're another bull. We've got another bull, another Bradford bull. And Joanne, maybe you want to get involved in Super League Royal Ladies Tackle Talk. Maybe they need a Bradford Bulls woman on that panel. I'm sure Steph Makey will be in touch. I'll make sure that we put you in touch with her in the next few days. Greg, from your perspective as a Warrington Wolf, Brodie Croft, it'll be a Croft Irwin 6-7, you would expect. Happy with that?
Yeah. You would have thought so, yeah. Do you know what? And I'm going to probably get some more pelters here, like I've not had many tonight already. I'm not blown away by this for some reason. It's not exciting me as much as I think it should do, and I don't know why. I just can't put the finger on it. We've been here before with George Williams, and we've still got that elusive grand final win. Isn't in the bag. We were 2 weeks ago. We were signing Harry Smith from Wigan. Would I rather have Harry Smith alongside you and Irwin? I think I would, to be honest. And the way that Harry Smith controls the game, with you and Irwin running alongside him, I think that would be they're both kind of running backs, aren't they? Croft and Irwin. I don't. It's not. Maybe I'll wake up in a few weeks' time and think, yes, this is brilliant once it's confirmed. But at the minute, it's not exciting me as much as I think it's exciting other Warrington Wolves fans. And that's me being honest. I don't know.
Is
he the answer? Would I rather have Warrington bringing through maybe Leon Hayes and you and Irwin, and spending that money on a massive forward, two massive props, to give the halfbacks the room to kind of create the magic? You know, the thing that's let Warrington down over the last few seasons is pack size. We've had George Williams, who's a fantastic halfback. We've had Mark Sneed, who maybe is at the end of his career, but still on his day is a superb halfback. We've not had the forwards that have made the space for them a lot of the time, especially when we have injuries in the pack. So I don't know. I'm on the fence on this one, I've got to admit.
Brodie Croft on his day, class.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree with you, Dave.
I think what it's suggesting to me is that it's a you and Irwin, Brodie Croft.
Yeah.
2027. You mentioned Leon Hayes. I think Leon, obviously, he's out on loan currently. Has the it'd be such a shame for Leon if that's his, if he doesn't get the opportunity at Warrington, because he was number 7 going into the season last year, and in the way of that. But sometimes opportunity passes you by, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Leon. We all think he's a player, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, Brodie Croft in at Warrington. Rhinos fans, the king is dead, long live the king. And already Brodie's coming in for the George Williams treatment off Greg. Nice to get the red carpet out. Well done, Reggie. Anyway, we move on to this one. Brand new signing, Faine. Welcome to Matt Faine at the Castleford Tigers. They're almost like York Knights at the minute. Every week they're announcing a new signing. Another winger centre. Another wing centre. Interesting. This is an interesting signing, this one, for me. You'd expect Ryan Carr knows the player really, really well. He's obviously come from St. George, small international. It's only 25. So again, good news that, it's not a player that's over the hill and far away. Got a lot of rugby league left ahead of him. He's a unit. He's a specimen. I think he's 96 kilograms. He's a big lad for a winger.
Yeah, he's a big lad.
74 NRL appearances, 27 tries, more mobile than oh dear Lord, the lad on the wing. That's the one. Yeah. I've not said the name for a while. I just had complete and utterly brain freeze then. But yeah, more mobile. 74 NRL appearances, 27 tries. He's also played 26 times in the New South Wales Cup, scoring 13 tries. His numbers this year: 6 appearances, no tries. 8 tackles, 1 clean break, 81.6% tackle efficiency. Highlight reel, as with most players, when they come over, you get the best bits and it looks good. But do you know what? He's got pace. He's a good size for a winger. He's got good athleticism. He's got the tools. Could be. I'm going to firmly sit on the fence on this one. I can't judge one way or the other. I'll be perfectly honest. Yourself, Steph?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason a 25-year-old's coming to Super League and not playing regularly in the NRL. He's got. Didn't he have an ACL as well? Is he coming off the back of an ACL?
Again, I've not read that. But
I'm not 100%. I'm sure he's had some form of injury as well, which may explain recent absences and New South Wales Cup appearances. But Tom and Moan, Christ for Tilly. These players can come and rip it up in Super League. So he's not done that in the NRL yet, but this could be a stepping stone for him to do that. And it's, on paper, it looks like a really good signing. And one of the good things about 25-year-old players coming from the NRL is they want to get back in the NRL.
Yeah.
So they've got that hunger in the belly to really kick on.
I want to see more of Valame. I was so Reggie. I was so impressed with him at Warrington. I mean, it was a drubbing. They were shocking, but Valame that day. I'm really looking forward to seeing him come back for the Tigers.
He was a standout player that day, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those signings where I think it's a wait and see. We have to see. It could be one of those wow signings, but we just don't know, do we? Until we see him in the flesh and see what he can do. And that is me again, sitting firmly on the fence. I'm getting splinters.
Yeah, absolutely. It is indeed, John. It is indeed. We'll have plenty of them at the Challenge Cup final, sir. Don't you worry about that. Plenty of beverages. And you're right, Greg. We like to see a player in the flesh, just like the Tackle Talk ladies. Absolutely. Let's see how he goes. I'm sure he'll be competing for their very special trophies every month. I'm sure he'll canvas as good as you do, sir, for those. Anyway, that's by the by. Steph, Abbas-Miski. Craig mentioned him in the chat earlier on. Abbas-Miski. Disappointingly for him, salary cap pressure is going to be moved on. Probably will be moved on next year. Obviously out on loan this year to another club. He's still only 30. Still, let's not forget Abbas was top try scorer 3 years ago. He's got it. He's got it in his game. I think he's hanging for Abbas because unfortunately the salary cap element of our sport has meant that there's no doubt he'd want to remain at Wigan. He'll be devastated. Wigan will probably be slightly devastated as well because he's been a good servant for him. But it'd be banging for somebody. And I think you probably agree with that sentiment, boys. So rather than do the banging and hanging each one of us, I think that's a sentiment that we'll probably all hold on this one. Question is, where's he go, Steph? Where would you see Abbas-Miski being a great acquisition currently? Where do you see him going?
I think either Bradford, York, or Toulouse, and this is my thing with these three clubs that have come up. When they were given them, a couple of months' notice to recruit, all the good players were gone. Now, Abbas-Miski would be an asset to most Super League clubs in terms of a finisher. So I think it's a great opportunity and one where they probably got that salary cap to really, maybe offload one of the few of the Championship that they're given a chance to come into Super League. I think we're going to see a bit of that at the end of this season. But yeah, definitely for me, one of those three clubs would be perfect for them as they look to strengthen. And there's no doubt on his day, he's one of the top wingers in Super League. Abbas-Miski is just unfortunate that he got injured. It's a bit like Briscoe when he was at Leigh, isn't it? And he got injured and Keenan Brand came in and he couldn't get his place back and ended up going to Hull. It's a similar situation, isn't it? And when there's youngsters in the wings, that tends to happen as you get older, you get injured, you get replaced. But I think he'd be a great acquisition for one of those three.
Yeah, the Wigan faithful coming out in the chat, Dawn Baker, Craig, saying, they love Abbas-Miski. John Glover coming out as well, saying he's good at coming out of his backfield as well, and he is. He's a good modern-day winger. Greg, do you agree with Steph's sentiments there in terms of where he might end up?
I do. I think one of those three clubs will probably be his ideal destination as well. I don't think he'd want to drop down to the Championship just yet in his career. But Abbas-Miski, Wigan have got a real production line of wingers. It's a bit like, remember Manfredi a few years ago, who he was really doing well, got a bad injury and could never find his way back into the first team again because they've got such a production line of wingers at Wigan. Zach Eckersley's come in. I mean, he's a fullback, a centre, and now he's looking, he's looking well useful on the wings for Wigan. So it's a shame, but it's no reason why he can't end his rugby league career and why he can't end his Super League career. And as Steph says, one of those three teams would certainly benefit from certainly having a fully fit Miski on the wing.
Well, Phil Webster's got inside London. That's a shout. I'll tell you another shout. Tommy Makinson's retiring Catalan.
That's a very
you
good
could
point.
see that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you now as well, you look at Huddersfield and you think, I think Huddersfield's another one. I would throw them in the mix. I think I would be surprised if it's any other than them. When you look at the other sides, over and above those five, you throw London in the mix as well. He's not going to FC. Martin and Barron are there. He's not going to. He's not going to any other side. Again, outside. I mean, we're all Leeds recruitment problems. Leeds. Well, you think Ryan Hall's going? He won't go into next year, based on what we're seeing.
I don't think he'll go to Leeds, Dave.
No, I'm going to stick with Catalan. Catalan's a shout.
think that
Huddersfield as well.
Catalan's a great shout, Dave. I really do.
Yeah, I think you could end up in France, either Toulouse or Catalan. I could see that.
Yeah.
Quite happily. Right, what did you make of this one? Tavita Pangai Jr. Warrington getting a fee for Tavita. Good bit of business that from Warrington. Who'd have thought? Hey, Greg.
Yeah, I forgot he was still on our books. He's got to union, hasn't he? I've not heard how much it was. I can't think it's a lot.
He's gone KR. He went to union and now he's at KR.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I don't know how much KR have paid for him, but that was a nice little bonus to say we got a fee for him. Superb.
Well, by all accounts, the tackle bags look lovely now.
Yeah. It's paid for another Hoover.
All day. I mean, I don't think it's mega bucks, but I'm sure the training ground has had a little bit of a splash. But yeah, Tavita Pangai Jr. And actually, saw pictures of him today on KR social stuff. He looks like he's slimmed down a bit.
Yeah, well, I've had it on good authority that he's been training with them for a while. So I think Willie Peters will definitely have challenged him to get in the shape of his life if he wants an opportunity to play for the top side in Super League. So based on last season at the moment. So yeah, and we all know what he's a former State of Origin player.
Mate, when he came over, we in pre-season we were saying he could be, and then we saw the size of him, and it just didn't work. And you're thinking, wow, he's one of those that's come over for a bath, But he's slimmed down, and if he can get back to those NRL levels, Steph, he'll be an handful.
I think based on what I've just said, that he's been training with the squad allegedly for 5 or 6 weeks. He's obviously shown enough to Willie Peters and that team that he's worth a contract to the end of the season, and it could be a genius move because if he is fully fit, then you've got another Herman essay on your hands.
Well, exactly, he's something they've not got. They haven't got a prop like that. They've got mobile props and handy props. They haven't got a bulldozing prop, so it does give KR a completely different dimension.
Like the zone as well.
Absolutely, he's in that ilk, and you're absolutely spot on. If you can get back to those NRL levels, it could be an incredible signing. There's no doubt about that. And then very quickly, just one word in the interest of times: Wellens and O'Loughlin are going to be the assistants. This was announced just after last week's show. O'Loughlin and Wellens, the assistants to Brian McDermott in the World Cup. Banging a hanging, Greg?
Banging. I don't see why not. Both got experience, know the players.
Super. Steph, same question.
Yeah, banging for me. I think they're both people, coaches, which I think is what you need at international level. They don't need to be, given the right act. They need to be arm round them, team spirit. They don't play with each other week in, week out, and them two will lead that mentality. Both played for the best two teams in history, in rugby league history in England. So, yeah, really, really good.
Yeah, and I think, the fact that Wellens is over in Australia, delighted for Wellens. Absolute delight for him. I think we all agree. There's a good coach, Paul Wellens. It's lovely to see that he's gone over to Australia and he's doing what he's doing, but now to be rewarded with an assistant gig at a World Cup just goes to show how revered he is in the coaching circles and alongside his peers. So many congratulations to Paul Wellens. Right, let's bring the little man out. Here he comes.
What Would Oliver Say is proudly sponsored by South Coast Lane Carpets. From shag pile to vinyl, nylon to wool, you are guaranteed to find the right fit for your home. Contact them today and tell them Oliver sent you. This is What Would Oliver Say at Super League Raw. This week I want to talk about something that I think could really improve the game: the cameras. Right now I don't think the cameras are good enough. For example, with the Ecclesley try last weekend, you couldn't tell if it was a try or not. Fans, players and even officials need better camera angles and clearer pictures to make important decisions. Otherwise, I don't see how the Captain Challenge can continue to work the way it should, because otherwise they can't see clear angles. I watched the NRL the other day, and I could instantly tell the cameras were way better than Super League. The game looked clearer and it was easy to see what was happening, making the whole spot look more professional. There are cameras even in the corner flags, just way better. If we want to develop our game and attract more fans, this is definitely something we should think about. Better cameras make the referee job easier and our experience as fans better. What do you think, Super League Raw?
So what do we think, Super League Raw? I'm with you all the way. Again, if investment is coming into Super League from the NRL or from any party, I do think that, again, it's where the investment goes. So I think we've all said pathways is important. You know, building up to maybe salary cap improvements is important. Fan experience is important. I think we'd also agree that a degree of investment needs to go into that level of production to try and rival what the NRL does, because again, that will build the sport. You know, what the NRL do in terms of pre-game, post-game, and as you quite rightly say, the technology. If our sport looked and felt like that, would that naturally bring more people in? I think it would. Steph, your view on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they use 8K cameras, and for me, as part of the next TV deal, I think we've got to insist on it. That's got to be one of the probably, everyone's on about the money, but it's also how the sport looks as well. And I think he's absolutely spot on. Some of the decisions with the video refs are made much more difficult because it's very blurry. And so, yeah, I'm 100% with Ollie there. I think he's spot on.
Reggie?
Yeah, all the way. I'd also like to see a lot invested in marketing and PR for the sport as well. The advertising of our sport is very poor. The marketing of the game, we all know it's the best game on earth. Nobody else does that apart from outside of those rugby league fans that follow the game. For me, all of those things that we've suggested and a big, we do need a decent marketing team, a decent PR team to get the good news about rugby league and the things it does and the things it does well out there. For a long time, this sport has been a sport that's been at the forefront of technological advances and changes in rules and player welfare, and it always seems to get overtaken by other sports that adopt those measures. So for me, as well as grassroots, as well as TV and a great TV deal and all the equipment that we need to make referees' jobs easier, for me, the marketing, the PR, getting the message out there is also important. The NRL investing in Super League should make headlines everywhere. And let's see if it does. But for me, yeah, all of those things, the marketing, the PR of the game as well.
Well, I actually found myself agreeing with John Wilkin. I know. I was watching the Liam Marshall on the bench, and yeah, he's been watching Super League Raw because we've been saying for ages. If it's check foot in touch, check foot in touch, check grounding, check the grounding. Don't go back 5 days. Don't. We've been saying that for I don't know how long. So, Mr. Wilkin, it's clear to me that you've been watching Super League Raw weekly. Many congratulations on picking that one up from us. And we couldn't agree with you more, sir. Couldn't agree with you more. Well done. Right, okay. So last week, of course, we brought our Challenge Cup competition to a close, but we still have the Magic Weekend up and running. Your opportunity to join Super League Raw at the Magic Weekend. 2 days 2 days. So would you like to win 2 tickets for 2 days of rugby league entertainment at Magic Weekend? The competition is open. This is in the Village Street, padded seats on halfway. Great day of 2 days of rugby league entertainment, and you'll be sitting with the Super League Raw posse. If you're not a member, then you still have an opportunity to come to this. Just go to our website, superleagueraw.com, go to the shop, and you will see there you can buy an individual entry for £5, or you can get 10 entries for 20 quid. Happy days. All proceeds go to Grassroots Rugby League and other worthwhile projects. And of course, we announced on our socials this week that one of our members, Ellis, who plays in the Power League wheelchair, we have actually sponsored his chair for this season, and I'm very proud of that. So again, diversifying as always, promoting all aspects of a sport with our members. So Ellis, it's a privilege, mate, to be sponsoring you for this season. Go well, and I will try my utmost to come and see you in all your glory, wheeling yourself around and scoring some points, my friend. Look forward to seeing that. But yeah, get involved with that. Go to the website, superleagueraw.com. Opportunity to join us at Magic Weekend at Village Street. Of course, members, like we did with the Challenge Cup, for those who haven't already got tickets and want to come to Village Street, of course, you'll automatically be involved in the draw, but we'll put a poll out on our WhatsApp group to just see who wants to be included in that, like we did with the Challenge Cup, so that those tickets do go to those members. So we'll do that nearer the time. Don't worry about that. Right, it's that time of the week again. Here comes Team of the Week. The Super League Raw Team of the Week is proudly sponsored by the Pentagon Motor Group. Visit their website today to find the make and model that you desire at the right price.
It's the Super League Raw Team of the Week from round of 11. Here we go again at 1. Is the Toulouse fullback sensation Ollie Ashlbot. Oh yes, he continues to be the representation of the Aswad Classic #1. Shine like a star. Go on, Ollie boy. On debut at 2 is Will Tate, who was a crack shot, just like Seth Armstrong on the Tate estate in Emmerdale. When it comes to tries, a solid display indeed by the 24-year-old. At 3 is the Wire's Toby King, who provided the crown jewels of 2 points to Sam Burgess on a silk cushion. That said, the heist was very nearly successful by Toulouse. At 4 is once more Wonga Blake, who was back with precision against FC. Blake's stock is rising. I can almost hear Tom Cruise himself saying, "Show me the money," whenever he has the ball in his hands. At 5 in defeat is the man who nearly gleamed up, Scott Galeno. Try number 7 of the season and an assist to boot was as satisfying as a double scoop of Galetto. At 6 is I know this much is Truman, yes. Jay provided yet another new romantic display that delivered a chart-topping performance at standoff this week. At 7 is the man whose foot will be amputated for display at the Brick Community Stadium on his passing, Harry Smith. After all, it's only fitting that future generations can marvel at such a perfect limb. At 8 is Caius Fiatilli, who showed once more why he's loved and respected by all Rugby League supporters. Unlike his hair, there is no frizz to his running prowess, as this effort encapsulated perfectly. At 9, big hits, impeccable runs, it had to be Every Pape. The Leopards rocked the Robins, and Pape was a big factor in their late surge and near win against the champions. At 10, who would have thought it? Yes, a big welcome back to the King, Ronnie Yawa. His display was as intriguing as his name, Ronnie, a kind of yoke, Yaya, stylish women's clothing and wah, that sounds like far, and yes, he was by far in the top 2 props this week. At 11 is the Tigers captain sensation, Alex Mellor. Just like beer goggles often trick the visuals on a Saturday night, Castleford always look better with Mellor. At 12 is the one-man soon-to-be legend Sam Walters. Just like Walter Riley, he explores great lines to devastating effect. Like Walt Disney, he can put smiles on faces, and yes, like Walter Cronkite, he can deliver a good headline or two. And finally at 13 is Joe Shorrocks. He may have a Lego hairdo and a moustache that's like Wi-Fi, as he doesn't work for everyone, but when he does, it connects people instantly. And so too did his assist. Joe is in a great form this season for the Saints, ladies and gentlemen. This is your Team of the Week for round number 11.
So there you go, the Team of the Week for round number 11. Steph, interesting to see so many different shirts yet again. We always say here on Super League Raw, no matter who you play for, if you play best in your position, you're getting our vote. What do you make of our Team of the Week, mate?
Yeah, fantastic again. And, Harry Smith, we've already mentioned the impact he's had since he's come back off his suspension. So good to see him back in. Caius Fiatilli getting the hat-trick. He had to be in there at the prop forward. I think Joe Fingawe, very unlucky at Leigh. I thought he was outstanding in that game against OKR. But, when a prop forward scoring 3 tries, he's got to be in, hasn't he? But we mentioned Ollie Ashlbot before. There's got to be some teams looking at him for next season. I don't know what his contract is at Toulouse, but he's been outstanding for Toulouse, hasn't he? And great to see those performances continuing.
Absolutely. I mean, Phil in the chat there saying the best game of the week and not one player from KR. That's because when you look at the players individually, I think, both Leigh and KR team-wise, exceptional performances, but individually, and that's what this is. It's an individual performance by a player. And unfortunately, like for like against their peers in the same position, Leigh as well. Pape just about getting in there, but yeah, Don't get me wrong, Tyrone May, very good. Was he as good as Smith? No. Simply, Smith was incredible against Leeds
He
Rhinos.
said it all in that game, didn't it, Dave? That they give the man of the match to Joe Burgess.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And I'm sorry to say, but Gino and Tate were pound for pound better than Burgess. Like I say, me, boys and girls, I go into a lot of detail. This isn't about a team performance. This is about an individual's performance in their position. And I'm pretty relaxed about this. And it's right that we share the love because, like I say, it doesn't matter what, it's too easy to KR beat Leigh in a tight game. Let's throw some KR players in. Not if they didn't outperform the peers in other games, in their positions. We just don't operate that way. Reggie, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's Sam Walters. He's been changed the positions around this season. But he's really cemented himself in that Wigan team now. He's a handful. He's a bit of a nasty piece of work as well, which is what all teams need. But he controls it well. He's got over that injury crisis from last year. Really, was it last year, the year before, when he first signed for them? I'm pleased to see him there because I think he's a great player. Joe Shorrocks. I mean, we spoke about him before the season started. He's added another dimension to Saints, I think, and good to see Toby King in there as well. He takes a lot of pelters sometimes from Warrington fans, but he was by far our best player on Saturday, by far. Ben Curry was all right, but I thought Toby King was by far our best player. As we said about Ashall Bolt, what more can we say about him?
I think King is probably at the moment in his best form in a Warrington shirt. I think there was I think the season where he signed his new contract he was exceptional.
Yeah, guess what? His contract's at the end of this season.
Well, he's only had a year extension. He was up at the end of last, and I like you say, he's playing well. Wonga Blake, just take a bow, lad. I mean,
yeah,
everything about him statistically incredible. Your eyes see it. Playing a really good brand of rugby and playing a confident brand of rugby. I'm liking the fact that he's expressing himself and he's having a go. Like I said earlier when we talked about that game, he had a couple of attempts and it didn't quite pay off. It was good to see him trying. And then, of course, he found, he then executes it perfectly well for the Ryan try. And that's, he's not, I think Wonga Blake at Saints would probably have gone into his shell. But at Bradford, he's not doing that. If it doesn't come off first time, he's backing himself to do it the second. And I think, like I say, credit to him. Really, really good performance from Wonga Blake as well. Yeah. So, very different looking team in a week. But very, very good. And Craig, you're right. Again, fewless for Warrington. You're spot on. Try-saving tackle, all-round game. Very good. You mentioned Offengawi, Steph. Absolutely. Offengawi, very, very unlucky not to be in that team. Had a really good game. Petter Hiku, another one. Could have, was very close to being in that team. So there were players from that game that were probably the next pick to go in. But like I say, that's where we were with it. So there you go. The team of the week for round number 11. God, what is going on? Where's this season going? It's
flying by. Isn't it? Flying by.
Wembley in a couple of weeks. What's going on? Anyway, there you go. Well, look, I say we're ahead of schedule tonight, which is great. We always said that weekly this year was going to be a little bit shorter and comfortable with that. And of course, we've got Captain's Run on Thursday. I don't know if Mr. Sale, you with us this week, Mr. Sale? Are you working? Yeah, Mr. Sale's back. He was working last week, so we've got Mr. Sale back for this week's show, which is nice. Don't know if anybody else is going to join us, but anyway, there you jolly well. Like I said, I think what's interesting about this weekend, really interesting about it. We said it. We showed earlier on the league table and who the top teams are playing this week. And I think if to just re-show that, because the graphic tells you who's playing who, Catalan York's a game all of a sudden. As a neutral, when you look at who's playing who this weekend, and you're looking for that game where you're going, what's going to spark me interest? Where is it? Where's my interest this week? Suddenly that York Catalan game looks a game, and it's overtook the KR Wigan game. I think we're in for a battle. Would you agree with that, Steph? Do you see? We're not going to go into the whole matchup piece and all the rest of it. We will save that for Captain's Run, but just high level, is that suddenly become the potential of the game of the week?
I think it has, yeah, and I think it's that could be a really, really interesting game. you'll probably disagree with me, but I think Leigh Hull FC might be an interesting one. I know FC have got loads of injuries, but look at last season. Leigh didn't beat FC last year, so they're a bit of a bogey side. So that could be a good one. Obviously, we've been robbed of the one that should have been the game of the round, but no, really important game. I think it's really important for York as well. If they because they had Castleford, Castleford was really good in that game. That Castle York was a great game. It was a real good battle at that end of the table. But they'll be targeting this one, and I think this could be another one that goes as close as that Cass game as well, which like I say, it ended up being a fantastic game. So yeah, really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I mean, York got that win against Toulouse, didn't they? 38-14 a couple of weeks back, and before that they'd had a big run of losses since the Warrington game. But like I said, I think York for me, they probably need a win now. They probably need to just get that win again and just to push on another 2 points. And I think that the performances, Greg, this season, that nowadays they really have got a good culture and resilience about them. I don't think York's next win's far away, do you?
No, I don't. But Catalan is a strange place to go, and you don't quite know what Catalan you're going to get.
No, it's at York, mate.
Sorry, is it York?
It's at York, mate. Yeah.
All right, okay. Sorry, I thought it was Catalan.
No.
My apologies. Well, even so, you still don't know what Catalan you're going to get. So they'll be smarting after that Wakefield defeat. So yeah, I think York could very well turn Catalan over and do a good number on Catalan. Sorry, I was convinced they were at Catalan this week for some reason.
No, they're at York, mate. They're definitely York.
It's hay fever handling my brains, people.
Is that what it is? I mean, Catalan, Castleford, of course, beat York last week. They've got Saints this week. Again, the Saints' second half performance wasn't great against Huddersfield. I'll give them the flowers. Great effort from Huddersfield. They needed to do that, and they did. Do you see any danger where Saints are concerned, Steph, at going to Castleford?
Yeah. Well, we all know Castleford can be a difficult place to go, and it's the biggest factor with Castleford is when their crowd gets into it, and you can say that about a lot of teams, but more so at the one ball. If Cass can rock Saints a little bit and get a bit of a lead, then it could turn. I mean, that could be the game of the round. It's the best thing is for me is who knows in Super League. We just don't know at the moment what's going to go on, and I think that shows in our Super Brew thing, which we'll share on Captain's Run. But it's so difficult to predict. Cass are one of those sides that can turn up one week and not the next. It'd be like Huddersfield. We'd have had them going to Wigan and winning both of those sides. So yeah, anything can happen. And that's why I was saying about Leigh and Hull FC. Everyone's saying Leigh should win easy based on Leigh's last game where they lost against Hull but put in a good performance. FC going with loads of injuries, but I wouldn't be surprised if FC turned up in it. And it's. You've got to be on it. Is what the point I'm trying to make badly is. If you go into a game and you think you've won it before you got off the bus, then you're going to get beat this year. Simple as that. And there's no more sides than Toulouse, York, and Bradford who've proved that this season.
Yeah, and Greg, I mean, we said at the start of the show what Wigan's fate could be if the other top seven go and get wins this week, and they were when they lose. I'm going to say it when they lose to KR. I'm just going to, and if I'm wrong, and I'll eat me out. But I mean, if we said at the start of the show, top 7 teams win, the fate of Wigan. But that said, as Steph has quite rightly said there, it's not been that straightforward this year. You would expect one surprise from those fixtures, and you'd be hard pushed to say which one it will be. But none of us will.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us probably expect it to go to plan. That something somewhere is going to happen.
Yeah, who's to say Bradford might not cause a shock against Warrington on Sunday? That could happen. Yeah. and Wigan could still shock KR, but it's not. We know it's not going to happen. But the thing is, we talk about this Wigan Hull KR game. Hull KR could have won that game anyway, whether we're going to put a full team out or not. So let's not disrespect Hull KR. They could have still won that game and won it quite easily. And then Wigan are still in the same position that they will probably find themselves in at 10 o'clock on Thursday. But yeah, you're right. You know, there will be a shock, as there always is. And, you know, I can see Bradford turning up at Warrington on Sunday and maybe being the shock of the round. It's quite, the way they played again. I mean, you know, things went in their favour. We had that sending off, but you know, it's feasible.
It is feasible. Right, last question from me. This will catch you on the up. Last question from me, and then we'll get into the after show. The members, yes, the social. In fact, I'll do that now while the boys are actually chatting in a moment. So if you're new members in the social, I'll get you the link put in to the group so that you can see where we're going to be in a moment for the after show party. But here's a question you didn't know was coming. It just come to me, and I thought I'd be interested to know 11 rounds in. A player that at the start of the season was not in the front of your mind, but off the basis of their first 11 rounds, you're going, a player that you've really enjoyed watching, that perhaps at the start of the season you'd have been like unaware of or wasn't expecting what you've seen from them. I know I've just landed that on your feet, so who wants to go first? Go on, then.
I've got to. I think Wonga Blake, after he'd been written off, you know, I think someone put in the chat earlier, he found his level at Bradford. Well, he's found his level and competing at Super League and doing it against the best in Super League at the moment. Absolutely. So maybe rather than found his level, he's found his correct club. At Bradford, I'd say than that one. Ollie Ashall-Ball, obviously, another one that dropped down and did brilliantly in the Championship and is now ripping it up in Super League as well. So yeah. Those two have really stood out for me.
Reggie?
That's I think Ashall-Ball, as Steph has said. God, that you dropped that one on me there. God, let me think.
Hodkinson, Wigan.
Yeah, I'm going to say Ashall-Ball.
Yeah, I'll be honest, mate.
And for Tappy.
Yeah, for Tappy's been good.
For Tappy as well. He's been impressive.
The two I was going to mention, one of them Hodkinson at Wigan, come from nowhere, absolutely superb. And of course, my Papalangi at Castleford, absolutely incredible. You know, at the start of the season, who'd have said that? I see Nigel's put that in the chat as well. My Papalangi, absolutely. I don't think anybody could have foreseen the impact of my Papalangi at Castleford this season. Absolutely different gravy. And Hodkinson's really thrown the cat amongst the pigeons at Wigan. Because, you know, he can play fullback well, he can play wing well. And I think Marshall even said it himself on the bench with John and Jenna, that, you know, it's genuine competition for his spot. You know, there's no doubt about it. The lad's got it, and he's got it in droves. You know, we know that the likes of, I mean, I think if Kai Taylor had been fit all season, I think he'd have been mentioned. I think in the glimpses we've seen, we know there's a player there. He's just got to find fitness, Kai Taylor, and I think he could do a lot of special things. But yeah, my Papalangi and Hodkinson for me. Great night of rugby league chat and debate. It's what we do well. I thought the opening gambit on Wigan was very balanced and very well put, boys, and I thank you for that. I think we do these type of debates very respectfully and we do it in detail, and we try and back it up with facts. And like I say, we do that on everything that we do. Hopefully, if you've discovered Super League Royal Weekly for the first time, come back and join us again next week. More competitions on the way, as always. Can't wait for the Challenge Cup. Just over a week to go, you Challenge Cuppers with Super League Raw. That is going to be one hell of a day. Believe you me, you'll love every minute of that. But let's give you a little bit of a taste of what's coming. Of course, all of this is in the titles in a moment, the end credits. So don't go anywhere. Get a full grip of what Super League Raw brings every single week. But tomorrow, of course, tomorrow night at 7 p.m, myself and Craig Lingard will be doing Championship Rugby League. We'll be looking at the 1895 Cup, Sheffield's win over Halifax on Friday night. And we are joined, our first Championship special of 2026. Andrew Whiteley, the Ghoul Vikings president, will be joining us, the man that got Ghoul off the ground, and we'll be talking Project Ghoul with me and Craig Lingard tomorrow. Do make sure that you tell all your Ghoul Vikings friends about that. That is tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on YouTube. Championship Rugby League with me and Craig Lingard. And of course, Captain's Run, that will be back this Thursday, 6 p.m. on Spotify, Apple, and if you want to watch it on YouTube, that's at 6 p.m. Of course, instant reaction throughout the weekend. Hooter and Tackle Talk back next week as always. Who knows? Joanne may be our first Bradford Bulls fan on Tackle Talk. That'll be interesting. Having had John Beasley this year go on Hooter. Now we've got our first Bradford Bulls woman to go on the ladies' Tackle Talk. That'll be absolutely marvellous. But on behalf of myself, on behalf of Steph, and on behalf of Joel, who sends his apologies and can't be here this evening, we hope you enjoy your rugby league that's coming up. Make sure you tune in. And Hull KR, make sure that you take a calculator with you. You might need it at the weekend, the amount of points you're going to be scoring. From us to you, we'll see the members in the after show party. Bye for now. See you next week.